Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're having an amazing day. And I hope you're ready to learn about your personal impact, friend. Yes, I'm talking about you, your impact, and how you have generational impact inside of you and how you are already impacting the generations. And this is something that it's kind of difficult to teach, and I feel weird teaching it, but it's part of my method. So I'm forced to share, and that's what I'm going to do. So this is the reason why I'm doing this. Oftentimes, I have met with people or I've been hired to coach people, and really what that person wants is for me to help them just hit their goals and get the best out of them. And what I've found is that in many people, the reason they're not growing and they're not just, I just kicked the camera, bringing things to that next level is because they don't understand their impact. They think they're just running a business, or I'm just teaching, or I'm just, a student, or it's always some just this, like this is just my side hustle, or it's just a candle company, or it's just this or just that. But let me tell you, friend, it's never just that. Every decision that we make has a deep impact. Has the potential to have deep impact if we allow it and if we recognize what that impact is. And that's my goal, is to help you recognize that within yourself today. Now, anytime you're thinking about impact, I want to give you some examples so you can get it. So these are this is one positive example and here's one negative example, okay? The first one is, imagine if you had a community that was pretty desolate. There weren't very many people here. They didn't have any businesses. They didn't have much industry. They didn't really have much of anything. And next thing you know, that city strikes oil. I said oil. That city strikes oil. What happens? Suddenly, that city that had nobody, that had a population of 50, now has a population of 5 million. Because everybody and their mama wants to get in there. They're going to need people to drill the oil. They're going to need companies, refineries. This is not, it's going to flood the city. So now something as simple as, well, not as simple as, but something that really wasn't growing is now experiencing just this abundance that they've never received before. But it can also be for the negative. What happens if a community, suddenly someone decides to bring fentanyl, or any sort of illicit drug into the community? A community that was previously thriving can now have a community filled with zombies. And we've seen it before. We've seen communities and families go from thriving and happy to desolate, to where it'll take them generations to turn that around, all because someone introduced something negative into that community or into that family or into that business without realizing the impact of that decision. But what we're going to do today is we're going to focus on the positive side of that. And I want you to understand that all of our activities have a ripple effect and they have generational impact, but we get to decide what type of ripple it's going to be. Whether you're going to strike oil in a community or you're going to bring illicit substances and make the community desolate. But we all get a decision, okay? And what I like to think about is this thing that I'm doing going to bring about a generational blessing for people or a curse? Or is it going to create higher levels of resentment? Or is it going to increase someone's faith in humanity? And I just hope and pray that by the end of this, you choose the positive side of it in everything that you've done. And so what I found is we often fail to identify the impact that we have. And we don't take our businesses, our relationships, our ideas, and everything else to the next level, or bring it to the level that it was meant to be on, because we just don't really know. We don't know what it is we're bringing to the table. And so I've done this myself. My first company was a sales company. And what I really thought I was doing is just making a company a lot of money, bringing them more sales. And I thought I was just trying to figure out, ways that I can just get my team to make more sales. And this was just a really small way of thinking. It was a small way of thinking. And what it ended up doing was I started treating my company like a farm and my employees like cattle. And then one day it clicked what I was actually doing. And by the way, the cattle portion, all that stuff, let me just say things weren't going well. Like even when we did make a lot of money, it was still lots of resentment, lots of arguing, lots of everything. It just didn't work out very well. What I realized what I was actually doing was I was employing people, one, that were often overlooked by other companies. I was like the queen of hiring and recruiting single moms. And let me tell you, these were some of the best employees I ever had in my life. And some of the best friendships I've ever made in my life. They worked harder than everyone else. They had an extreme sense of purpose. They understood how to take care of people. They knew how to manage their time, manage their things. They were organized. Just all the things that you normally have to like force someone to do, they had it. But the difference is I gave them the flexibility and the support they needed to be able to work and do a great job and also be a great mother to small children. Like I didn't freak out if they brought their kids into my office in the afternoons. You know, if we were working, there were 6 kids running around having fun doing this, doing that. Look, let me hold the baby. You do what you need to do. I hold them. They can play in my office and tear all of my stuff up. Okay. And this was great because not only were they in the position to where they had that flexibility, but they were also in the position to where they were well paid. So just not being judgmental about that. I hired people and gave people opportunities that maybe they didn't have the best looking resume. But when I worked with them and brought them in, they were amazing. You know, I found out that what I was actually doing was providing mentorship. I just wasn't bringing someone into the company to teach them their job. I brought them in and I really taught them how the industry worked and how business worked and how money was made and how money was kept and how to innovate and change things and how to organize things and how to create plans and systems and structures. And now when I look around and I go on Facebook and I go on Instagram and all of them, most of them are doing that now in their own businesses. And I know that that's what I was actually doing, not just making a lot of money for a company. You know, I had the opportunity to speak with a group of leaders and help them grow in their confidence. So that way, when they had that great idea, they had that thing, they didn't question whether or not they could do it. They just knew, yes, I can do it. I just got to find a way to figure it out. Because the question is not whether you can, it's whether you should. And can you figure this thing out? And most of them do. And they still are. Another thing too, generationally, you know, there's a group, a generation of kids that grew up and they were well taken care of. They weren't losing their, they weren't losing their mind. They weren't, providing, or not providing meals when the child needed it. They weren't doing all of that stuff, right? And the last thing was I was providing people with the experience and the mindsets and the lessons to go on and do their thing. Because guess what? Every relationship isn't going to be permanent. Sometimes you are a stopping place for someone, and just make sure that when they stop, the bathrooms are clean. Don't make it that nasty gas station, okay? They've already spent their money. They're spending their time, their effort, and their energy and their ideas with you. Make sure it's clean. Make sure that they're ready to have a safe trip on their next place. Make sure the coffee's warm. No, hot. Sorry, not warm. Make sure the coffee's hot. I like my coffee warm, but everyone else likes it hot. And so once I realized that's what that was all about, it completely changed my intentions. So I knew that my primary concern was mentoring and coaching others. So I changed my schedule. I was like, look, this is what I'm actually doing. I'm employing Americans. This is a place of mentorship. This is a watering hole. This is a place that provides opportunity for those who are often overlooked. How can I make sure that in their next experience, in their next interview, in their next pitch, that they're not being overlooked? So I said, you know what, if this is what I'm actually doing, I gotta put more time into this. So what did I start doing? I started coming in earlier, putting more times for one-to-one time on my schedule. I started planning my conversations out more. I started tracking everyone's growth. And what I saw was like, okay, they're doing really, really well with this thing, but that other thing is kind of ratchet. It's kind of raggedy. So let me tell them about this part. That, hey, you're great with this. Here's something that's a little raggedy, but this is what you can do about it. And just really like tracking their progress, tracking in their goals, and just to make sure that they're going in the direction that they need to go in. All while, guess what's happening? Money is being made. Money's being made because everyone feels good about what they're doing. And they understand it more and they're more bought in only because I really understood the impact. I really, really understood the impact. And so that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about what you're doing and realize what it's all about. I'll give you another example. This was a client of mine. He's just a really cool person. Okay. He was a very, very cool person, still is a really, really cool person. And so he had some growth. He had, a nice business. Things weren't going poor. They just weren't like, you just know when you're kind of missing the mark. Like it's like that almost doesn't count moment. Like you can just feel like, okay, I'm here. I know that I can be here, but something is keeping me stuck. There's something that's making me stagnant. And this is the thing about stagnation. Physics tells us that something's always moving. Even if you think it's standing still, those molecules are still doing this, right? When your business is stagnant, it's only a matter of time before you either do something to take it off to the next level or that thing starts going down. Why? Because while you're staying here, your competition's going up here. They're getting more advanced, they're innovating, they're changing, they're doing all of these different things. And so one of the things that I was really brought in to do is to figure out why, and to see if I can help this person, just take their game to the next level. And one of the things I immediately recognized was this person did not know their true impact. They were like me, maybe 10 years before, thinking that, hey, I'm just here doing this thing. I'm just running my business, trying to bring some money in, get my employees to make some sales, bringing some new clients, blah, 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 blah. Right? But one of the things that I helped him see was that wasn't just what he was doing. The first thing was he was employing people that got to see that you don't have to be this specific archetype to be successful. And you all know what that archetype is. Like tall, male, and when I mean tall, I mean over 6 feet, because the average CEO is over 6 feet. And it doesn't mean that you have to be tall to be a CEO. It just means that's what people tend to perceive what strength as being, is tall. And the thing is that I had to show him, look, you don't have to cosplay being an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur. You are a successful entrepreneur. Even with your personality. No, you're not super aggressive. You're like kind of the laid back, nerdy, fun guy. And that's what works for you. So be more than that, just be that. Don't try to be more than that. Just be that, and he wasn't a super tall person. He's actually was pretty short, and another thing was he wasn't overbearing. He was just cool, laid back, but he would show up every day trying to cosplay this archetype and it just wasn't working. And that wasn't his impact. His impact was his level of authenticity. The second area of impact was that he was really creating a safe place to work. And I don't think he understood that how often work environments can be toxic. And because of who he was, who he is, but such a great person, just nice, endearing, honest, he would work hard, laid back, whatever. He just really created a very, very safe work environment to where people, they just trusted him. They weren't going to work fearful on pins and needles or anything like that. And I'm like, look, do you know how big that is? Creating a safe work environment so there's not people just thinking that everywhere you go is going to be toxic, where they got to armor up every day, to go to work. And like me, because this is my scenario when I was running my first company, was he was in a city where entrepreneurship wasn't just this really big thing. Like they had businesses there, but Entrepreneurship, going out, doing your own thing, creating, innovating, that wasn't the norm in that city. So if you were someone that didn't just want to go with the status quo, but you needed some help, you needed some training, you needed some development, where would you go? And that was something that he was bringing that city or bringing to that city. And so the individuals that were working there, they had an outlet where they didn't just have to go work at the mill or on campus or whatever. They got a chance to flex that entrepreneurial muscle, to go out and do something, something that just wasn't boring. Because sometimes some of these jobs are just boring, period, right? And so once he realized what he was doing, he really locked in. He's like, look, I'm really teaching people how to, build their life. I'm teaching them the skills that they need to take control over their finances and to just do what it is that they needed to do. And I'm showing people that you can be your authentic self and thrive within a specific space, that you don't have to fit this archetype or this mold. And I'm betting anything that you're just like him. There's something that you're doing that's making a huge impact, but you're just not recognizing exactly what that impact is. You're not quite getting it. Whether, you're supposed to be helping mothers find themselves, whether it's you're helping students. I have someone that's in one of my groups right now. She's creating these series of children's books that's going to really help fill the gap for literacy in kids that really fell behind during the pandemic. And her ideas are amazing. Her products are engaging. But what she's doing is going to have generational impact. Generational impact. If she can get, and I know she will, when she gets to these kids during their formative years and really helps them bridge the gap through these books, bridge the gap through these foundations and these programs and things of that nature, it's going to have generational impact. Whether or not they'll know this, her kids will be thanking her. And what I mean by her kids, I mean the kids that are reading this book. And reading her books. So you're probably, just in this area where you need to really understand what it is that you're doing. I'll give you one more example. One of the gyms that I go to, it's a boot camp gym. And where they place this gym is in an area that before they were there was just known to be just an area of poverty. One of the poorest neighborhoods in Atlanta. And no, I'm not talking about Tyler Perry Studios. That's another one too. But since being there, I've noticed that area has started to thrive. I'm seeing new restaurants pop up. People are putting in apartment buildings. Other businesses are moving into the complex in which they're in. People are building new houses. Why? Because they brought life into the community and they brought their customers and their client base are really, really great people, and they bring them in there and they're going to the stores that are around there and they're going to the restaurants that are around there and they're just bringing more money into it to the point to where I feel like they can do whatever they want. I think the person who owns the building is like, look, just do whatever you want. Whatever it is that you want, because this place was dead before y'all came. Now I've got more people signing leases here. People have bought some land from me. It's all good. And you and your idea, you're just like that. But you just don't see yourself that way. And I'm going to help you to see that, okay? So here's 3 things that will happen once you define your impact. Number 1, you're going to get motivated. You're going to get motivated. There is something inside of us as human beings that we always know and recognize when there's something more. And we just get demotivated when we don't feel like I know there's got to be something more than just this. There is. You just haven't defined it yet. And you're going to. Number 2, you just get this, it just gives you this reason, this reason to get up, because there's more to it. It gives you a reason to get things done. Why? Because there's people that will be let down, whether it's the people that you see or the ripple effect of the people that you haven't even been able to meet yet. But you're like, look, I'm giving so-and-so a job so he can get married or so he can provide for his family and he can change things around economically, within his family. He's going to learn how to run a business for me, or he's going to learn how to do XYZ for me, or she will. Okay. And also it's going to make you just get more organized and intentional about what you're doing. When you know that you have impact, it'll make you go and do some research. It'll make you read that book that's been on your shelf for the past 4 months, because it's not just you getting up and schlepping through the day again. It's like, no, I'm important. Everything that I do has impact. If I don't get this done, people will suffer. And this is the issue. You have to be able to see the people that you haven't gotten to yet because you're not organized, because you didn't finish reading the book, because you didn't start the page, because you didn't finish this, because you didn't do that. There's people who need you that aren't going to get to you because of a lack of follow through. So when you can imagine your impact and you start imagining those people, you're going to find that way. You're going to get the new strategies. You're going to do everything. Number 2, you're going to understand who your competition is. You're going to know who the real op is. I'll give you an example. I teach dance classes in a dance called Kizomba. One time I had a student say, oh, well, do you know this other instructor that teaches? Is that your competition? Now, I'm in Atlanta and I'm like, look, friend, there's not another dance teacher that's my competition. My competition is hookah. If I can get people to come out and dance and not go out and blow their lungs out every night, smoking hookah and drinking whatever, I've won. That's my actual competition, not another instructor. You know, if even fitness studios, right? If you are a trainer, your competition isn't another trainer. Your competition is diabetes, low self-esteem, high blood pressure, kidney disease, strokes, hypertension. I think I already said that, but hypertension and everything else. That's your real competition. And when you understand your competition, it really changes your messaging. Oh, I'm also going to say this, BBLs and plastic surgery, that's your real competition. Making someone want to go to the process so that their life can change forever and not just change for a moment. All right. And so when you do this, it really changes your mentality, your message, your strategy, everything. And you won't get caught up fighting the wrong enemy. Because sometimes we find ourselves in battles and that's not the actual enemy. Your actual enemy and your real battle is somewhere out there thriving, eating up all your customers, eating up all your competition and being gluttonous with it. They killing all of y'all because you haven't really figured out who your real competition is. But when you know your impact, you know your competition. It's not the other team, or it's illiteracy. It's whatever your thing is. That's your actual competition. So you won't waste time. You won't Instagram stalk. You won't copy. You won't do all of that. Number 3, knowing your impact will help you get creative with your next steps. Sometimes we know it's time to scale or to grow our business or to grow our ideas, or sometimes just to scale ourselves and take ourselves to the next level, but we don't know what to do next. But when you understand your impact and who you're impacting, instead of saying what's next for you, you're saying, well, what's next for them? I'm bringing them here. What's the next iteration of their experience? And so it'll help you get creative with what you're doing, and it'll help you come up with the new ideas, and it'll help you to strategize, and it'll help you to plan, and it'll help you to innovate because you're taking yourself and just the result out of the way. And so once you really understand, like, look, what is it that I'm actually doing here? What is my real impact here? Like, why am I in this space and not someone else? That's always the question I have to ask. Why am I in this room and not someone else? God, why did you put me here? Because I know I didn't make it in this room for no reason. You had 1,000 other options. Why is it me? Why am I in this business? Why did you give me this idea? Why? Who is it I'm supposed to impact? What are they supposed to get from this? So, and the second part of understanding impact is understanding your intentions. Once you understand your impact, your intentions change. And hopefully it leads you to have a different level of intention as well. But when you know your impact, you'll have a deeper sense of purpose, and it won't be all about mammon. And what I mean by that is it won't all be about the money, the fame, the power, the notoriety, and all the little like base things that we just love. And let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but that's just not a leading point. And it's a rabbit hole that's really difficult to sustain. And it often just leaves really negative legacies. Like, think about the places, and if you've ever worked in a place where you're like, man, they are really just here to get money. They don't care about me. They don't care about their customers. All they want to do is make money. Like any place that you go to where it's just hyper focused on greed. Now, we're all there to make money and to get resources. But when people feel like that's the only thing you want to do, you don't care about providing value, you don't care about impact, you don't care about any of those things, you can run a business like that. But think about what the legacy of that business is going to be. And we've all seen it before, right? The next side to it is, and I'm going to go back to that because when you're a leader, and everyone who's watching this video, everyone who's watching this live, all of you are leaders. And leaders always create a culture in whatever spaces they go into. Doesn't matter. A leader can walk into a room and a culture that was just really negative can immediately turn positive. A leader can walk into that room in a place where everyone was feeling good about themselves, they can make them feel terrible. So you have to really choose the type of legacy and culture you want to create in everything that you're doing. All right? And think about it like this. How many people have created cultures where having a job feels like the worst thing in the world? Like it used to be this thing where it's like people were happy and excited that they have a position, they have something to do, they have a sense of purpose, a place to wake up and go to, money, whatever. And now people are like, look, I'll just live on the street. Who is creating this culture, right? And so no one wants to feel used and abused for the sake of vanity, but I digress and I'll move on. So I'll use my experience, for example. Once I realized when I was running my business that it wasn't all about just making sales. It was about impacting, development, creating a culture, mentorship, training, all of those different things, right? Experimenting, all of those different things. All of my intentions changed. The types of people that I hired changed. How I grouped people, the teams that I created, that my meetings, what I would talk about in meetings, my tone in meetings, everything changed. And it was all about what's the next step for us. Like we have this client, but they're just a vehicle. We have, like we're making great money, great commissions, all of this stuff. These people are paying us, but they're really just a vehicle that we're going to get in to take our lives where we want it to go. Hey, where do we want it to go? And so I want you to think about your impact. And then once you really realize the true depth of your impact, I want you to change what you intend to do every day. What it is that you plan to do every day. What is it that you're executing? And if you need help with that, I created this worksheet to walk you through there. Just click the link and fill it out. You can also DM me and message me, email me, whatever, and I'll help you with that, right? And all I'm going to say is this, because I don't want us to be in here for an hour, right? A large part of your sense of fulfillment, abundance, meaning, and growth is tied to you identifying the true impact of everything you're doing. It's not just this. It's a big deal. And you are a big deal. And if no one else told you, I'm telling you, you're a big deal. You are divine. You were fearfully made. And your ideas were divine in nature. And you have to take the time to really figure out what is it that you're doing and why are you so important and to whom. And the last thing I'll say is, because this is on the worksheet, whose life are you impacting? And that's it, y'all. So have a great day. Fill out the worksheet, click the link, receive your worksheet, fill it out. And I really want you to think about this. Chew on it for a minute. Don't just get off of here and just go on about your day. Chew on it for a minute, because this is going to impact your life, your entire lifetime. This is a destiny altering decision and change in mentality. So do that. And then also, the group, I have a small coaching group called the New Luminaries. It is open to new members. It's a very small group, and we are looking for people to apply who want to join and who want to learn how they can apply this to their lives. So where I'm not just talking you through here. I'm like, hey, Brandon, Ashley, John, whoever you are, what are you going to do? And just help you to really pull these things out and to apply it to your life, so that way this knowledge turns into wisdom. So I love you all. Have an amazing day.